Somewhere, right now, someone is sitting in the wreckage of everything they built, staring at a locked door, a pile of debt, a dream that just quietly died in their hands. And they think it's over. But what if I told you that moment, the silence after everything falls apart, isn't the end of the story? It's the only place the real one can ever begin. This is a story about that silence. About losing everything you thought you were building toward. And about the one, brutal, honest question that turns collapse into the foundation of something that actually lasts. Stay until the end, because the lesson in this story isn't in the rise. It's in the flaw. There is a particular kind of silence that follows failure, not the silence of an empty room, but the silence inside a person's own head, in the moment right after everything they built comes apart in their hands. This is a story about that silence. And about what waits on the other side of it, for anyone brave enough to sit inside it long enough to listen. Her name doesn't matter. Call her Amora, or call her nothing at all, because this story belongs to anyone who has ever built something from nothing and watched it slip away from them anyway. She started with almost nothing, a small rented room, a single piece of equipment, and a recipe passed down from someone who had loved her before she knew what love cost. That inheritance wasn't money. It was a feeling. The feeling of being made to feel important with nothing but attention and care. She wanted to build a place that gave other people that same feeling. And for a while, she did. The first months were intoxicating in a way success always is before it teaches you its real price. People came. Word spread. She felt, for the first time in her life, like she was becoming someone, not just working, but becoming. And that feeling is dangerous, because it convinces you that you are invincible exactly when you are most breakable. So she grew. Fast. Recklessly. She said yes to everything, because deep down, some old, frightened part of her believed that if she ever said no, the universe would never offer her anything again. That fear, the fear of scarcity, the fear that this chance was the only chance, is one of the most human fears there is. It has ended more dreams than any competitor, any recession, any bad luck ever could. Because a person driven by fear doesn't build. They accumulate. And what you accumulate out of fear always, eventually, collapses under its own weight. It took nearly 2 years for the collapse to arrive. It didn't come suddenly. It came the way most collapses do, slowly, then all at once. Death she'd stopped opening the letters for. People she owed money to, whose faces she now avoided in the street. Machines that broke because she delayed the maintenance she couldn't afford. And one morning, she stood in front of a door that wouldn't open, holding keys to a life that no longer worked, and she felt something inside her go completely quiet. That quiet is the moment this story is really about. Not the failure itself. Failure is common, almost boring in its familiarity. What matters is what a person does inside that silence. She sat down on the ground outside, not because she chose to, but because her legs simply stopped being willing to hold her up. And in that stillness, stripped of the noise of ambition, she asked herself a question she had been too busy, too proud, too afraid to ask in 2 years of relentless motion. Who was I trying to become, and was any of this actually mine? It's a brutal question. But it's also the only question that ever leads anywhere real. Because most of us don't fail because we lack ability. We fail because we build a version of success that was never actually ours, borrowed from other people's applause, other people's fear, other people's definition of what a worthwhile life looks like. And when that borrowed thing collapses, it feels like the end of us. But it isn't. It's the beginning of the only version of us that was ever going to last. An older woman, a stranger who had once lost everything herself and rebuilt it smaller and truer, sat beside her that day and said something she would carry for the rest of her life. Stop asking how to get back everything you lost. Start asking what was actually true, underneath all of it. Then rebuild from that. Just that. Nothing more. That single sentence rearranged something in her. Not instantly, nothing real happens instantly, but slowly, the way a bone reknits itself after it's been broken and properly set. She stopped trying to resurrect the version of herself that had said yes to everything out of fear. She started, instead, asking a harder, quieter question before every decision. Is this true, or is this just fear wearing the costume of ambition? She rebuilt small. Smaller than her pride wanted. She said no, for the first time in her adult life, to something profitable, because it wasn't honest. And when she said it, the sky did not fall. Nothing collapsed. The world simply continued, indifferent and enormous, exactly as it always had been, proving to her that her fear had been lying to her the entire time. Years later, what she built was smaller than her original dream, and infinitely stronger, because it was made of something that couldn't be taken from her by circumstance, understanding. Not luck. Not talent. Understanding, earned the only way understanding is ever earned. By being broken open and choosing, deliberately, to look honestly at what was inside. This is the part most people skip when they tell stories about success. They tell you about the rise. They rarely tell you about the flaw, the exact moment a person sat in the wreckage of their own choices and had to decide whether they were going to keep lying to themselves, or finally, for the first time, tell themselves the truth. If you are sitting in your own version of that silence right now, in a failure, a loss, a collapse that feels like it has erased everything you worked for, hear this clearly. The silence is not the end of your story. It is the only place the real one can begin. Every person who has ever built something that lasted has sat exactly where you are sitting. The difference between the ones who rise and the ones who don't is not talent, and it is rarely even resilience in the way people imagine it. It is honesty. The willingness to stop asking the universe to give your old life back, and start asking what, underneath all the wreckage, was actually true. Success was never the absence of failure. It never will be. Success is simply what failure looks like, once a person finally stops lying to themselves about what happened, and starts, one honest decision at a time, building something real. So if everything around you feels like it's falling apart, don't rush to rebuild the old thing. Sit in the silence first. Ask the brutal question. And then, when you're ready, not before, begin again. Smaller, if you must. Slower, if you must. But this time, build it true. If this story reached something in you, that's not an accident. It found you because some part of you already knows the silence I'm talking about. Either you've lived it, or you can feel it coming. Either way, remember this, you are not behind. You are not too late. You are exactly where every person who ever built something real once Saturday. The only question left is whether you'll finally tell yourself the truth. If this meant something to you, don't just scroll past it, sit with it for a moment. Share it with someone who needs to hear it today. And if you want more stories like this, ones that don't just entertain you but actually rebuild something in you, subscribe, and stay close. Because the next time everything falls apart, and it will, for all of us, at some point, you'll already know what to do. You'll sit in the silence. You'll ask the question. And you'll begin again, true this time. I'll see you in the next one.